So the last thing I want to say, and I'm going to actually like really bop through this because I already ran through a bunch of the really tough stuff. Elections are in some ways the easiest thing that we do in our democracy because how do you win an election? 50% plus one, right? Like you look at the numbers in your own district, which none of us know and all of us should, frankly. And then you figure out, okay, where do people stand? This is what these electoral brainiacs, like I'm not a brainiac and I should not, you guys are just as qualified to do this stuff as I am, and that's my whole point of today. All we do is we sit down and we say, what are the numbers of the district? What are the issues people care about? How do we find out who cares about what issues and is our gut right? And then how do we have conversations and listen and talk? Probably more listening than talking, but we're all really bad at that because we care. In equal measure so that we build that coalition and win. Guess what? Issue advocacy, same exact formula. So after an election, and this is going to take like 3 minutes, and then we're going to do the sexy persuasion thing because it's that easy. After an election in the world, we're going to go back because there's like some fun animation here. All the issue and electoral advocacy groups are like, yay, we won, we did this, we won the election. Or like, oh my God, I'm a pile on the floor and I'm crying and I'm eating all the Ben & Jerry's ice cream because they're so progressive. Right? So that's like electoral and issue advocacy groups. Then like the government is like, oh my God, let's see if the animation works. No, that doesn't work. But the government like turns over, so that's a whole thing. So you guys saw like the Trump campaign or the Trump administration can't figure out how to run the Easter egg roll because they just like switched all their staff and they don't know how to do it. So like the government's in disarray. The issue advocacy groups are like either sobbing on the floor or they're celebrating, but they're not really doing like work in strategic, smart-centered ways. Voters are like, oh, I'm really happy. Oh, I'm really sad. Oh, I have no idea what happened. Elected officials are like turned about because there's turnover, so some of them vacate their offices and go on vacation like Barack Obama and look really tan and happy while the rest of us sob. And then like Trump like decorates the White House and it's a whole thing. Some of these guys get more money and resources, right? Because all of a sudden, people in the world realize, oh my God, if we want to lay the foundation and the runway for winning in 2018 or 2020, all we can do is talk about the issues. There are some local elections, but like, we kind of are on standstill. We got to persuade people and build that 50% plus one coalition now. The government turns over. There's the pretty little thing I was waiting for. And then volunteers don't always know what to do. So a bill becomes a law in super crazy, complicated ways that I will not get into because you guys can all Google or watch Schoolhouse Rock, which is actually my professional opinion of the best place to understand how a bill becomes a law. But the really sexy, exciting thing about issue advocacy is that it's literally copy-paste the same tactics and tools as electoral advocacy. So I talked about IDing people, persuading people, turning them out to vote. Guess what? When you want to stop the ACHA healthcare reform bill and stop the repeal of Obamacare, you do exactly the same things around IDing elected officials, understanding where they stand, trying to persuade them through listening more than talking, using press and media narrative and all the brilliant things that you guys are doing as grassroots advocacy groups towards elected officials that you did towards individuals at their doorsteps. It is the exact same slate of tools and tactics and metrics that you use. You build organization throughout, and then it results sometimes in really successful campaigns. So at the end of the day, what is the core tactic that ties together issue advocacy and electoral advocacy? You guys know what the answer is because I've been blabbing about it and saying it for ages. It's persuasion. If you don't understand, and we've been weaving this throughout the presentation, how to persuade people that disagree with you, whether they're an elected official that wants to vote to, well, we're not voting to bomb Syria because we didn't actually bring it to Congress. So let's think about something different. That wants to, whether it's an elected official that wants to promote vouchers for public schools, and you're trying to fight for or against that, or whether it's an elected official who wants to peel back climate reforms that President Obama passed. Persuading elected officials as issue advocates now, persuading citizens who are going to be voters in 2018 is core to what you need to do. So let's get into the sexy, we already sort of talked about this, last bit here around persuasion.